In the front it's so close, but good. Finally third position, good for the championship, and very good race for me and also for the team. The great weekend, and now to improve a little bit this in the next race. And thank you to the team for the work.
Super ride, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, a phenomenal ride once again by David Munoz. Let's not forget he's had an injury nightmare. Look at the chatter. Oh, how did he stay on board? How did he stay on board? That was as early as the second lap, going through turn 5. We saw Almanza's front tyre like a pogo stick down the hill in the 5, but David Munoz, wow, that was a great save. So it was almost his podium chances ended halfway around the second lap. David Almanza, well, he was one of, it feels like, several leaders who took their part at the front of that Grand Prix. He once again just comes up a little bit short, Almanza, although that is his best result since he was victorious from pole over in Thailand. But Alvaro Carpe, some ride that by the Spaniard coming from rope 4. He's on the podium, remember, Jack?
Alvaro, huge congratulations, back onto the podium in what was a complicated, messy race. Did you have any kind of tactics in those closing laps, or just close the eyes and hope for the best?
Yeah, that's right, because it was impossible to make a plan. Everyone was riding super crazy. A lot of overtakes. Is the race, I think, with most overtakes in my life. Everyone was in this street going in the slipstream super fast. Then was super difficult to go to the front. The wind goes in the face, and then was super difficult. Yeah, I have to say thanks to the team, because we are working very hard. This weekend was a bit difficult with 2 crashes. I missed a lot of laps, but yeah, we are back on the podium. I'm very happy in this moment. Yeah.
Great job today, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job, thanks, Jack. Alvaro Carpe, as he mentioned, there 2 crashes and 13th on the grid. He had to work hard for all those 20 points. With some big risks comes some big rewards. And here he is, just easing alongside David Munoz. Look at that. Elbow to elbow, those two go. And over the line, Munoz realises it's a photo finish. Once again, how many have we had those so far in 2026 in Moto3? But it is Carpe that wins out over Munoz. There's Brian Uriarte's squad looking on. They know how close they were. He did so much of the front running in that battle. Uriarte's time will come, no question. But the rider of the moment, the man of the moment, he's the one that's twisting the throttle on that number 28 CF Moto Aspart machine. 140 points collected so far out of 150. Max Keeler has done it again in Catalunya. He's with Jack.
Well, Max, I'm sure I wasn't the only person here about halfway through when you were sat in 8th thinking, surely Max can't do it today, but somehow you did. Please tell us how.
This was a crazy race. For sure the most difficult one I've done. At the beginning I was struggling with the gears. It didn't work, the gear. I couldn't put the gears down, so I was saying, fuck, this is gonna be hard. But well, I could save it. I started to get better feeling. And I said, okay, last lap, I'm gonna try to do the best strategy, but I did it randomly because I couldn't do a lot of strategy. And last corner, I saw the slipstream of Munoz. I said, he's gonna try it for sure, so I will do the lacito, the comeback, and I could do it, so it was great. And thanks to all the people, they are so nice here in Barcelona, and to win in Spain is the best feeling. So thank you to everybody, and to the team and my family for sure. Yeah, as well, this race goes to Luis and to Pau as well, that his family here, so a big hug to them.
Another incredible performance, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, more pure brilliance from Max Keeler. What a ride, what a rider. Just a quick apology for some of his language in part from me there. We are obliged to apologise. This, though, is his last lap. Unbelievable. 7th on the grid. By lap 8, you can see there he was still stuck down in 8th place. Sounded like he had a bit of an issue shifting gears or finding gears. Gearbox problem that persisted throughout the whole of that Grand Prix. As we said, it doesn't matter what you throw at Max Keeler, whether it be physical, technical problems, he has always got an answer. He always finds a way on the most important day of the weekend to deliver when it really matters. It's win number 7 He's now led 18 of his 24 Moto3 Grand Prix. And this unbelievable start to 2026 just shows no signs of ending, does it? Beritamotogp and Munoz, they were close to the podium. I mean, Vedapratama, no wonder he's looking a little bit bemused. There you go, crack a smile, Veda. He's looking at the screens there. He came over the line in 8th place, 8th, but he wasn't even a second off the win. That's how close it was. And he was like O'Gorman, another rider that came charging through the pack.
Yeah, well, from what was his poorest weekend in Moto3 so far, up until today, Pratama still with another reminder of the immense talent that he has. His time will surely come in Moto3 as well. Yeah, the rookies made a real impression today, didn't they? Uriarte 4th, Morelli 6th, Danish 7th, Pratama 8th, O'Gorman 10th. All within a second and a quarter of the race winner. Max Quiles, despite that gearbox issue, the Moto3 field will be asking for that to be inserted into the regulations so it can level the playing field somewhat, because it doesn't feel as if there's any obvious way to beat him right about now. Only twice has Quiles been beaten, and you have to remember that in each of those occasions he was right in the fight for the win, going to the last corner in both Buriram and Austin. Otherwise he might be unbeaten altogether in 2026. For the Aspar team, it's yet more celebration. It feels like they're well on their way to crowning another Moto3 world champion. Carpe, second place for him. That is an equal career best. His 4th second place now in Moto3. Like one of the previous 3, it's to Max Quiles in the top step. It's Carpe second to Quiles when he took his maiden victory in Mugello last year. It's Quiles again. You can see the LS39 on the hump on the back of his leathers. He did spare a moment to dedicate it to Luis Salom, his victory in Parc Fermé. Of course, we lost Salom here tragically 10 years ago. Of course, very close to the heart of everyone in this paddock, in particular Aspar. 3rd place for David Munoz. His 18th Moto3 podium finish. So just one behind Jose Antonio Rueda, now the lovely reigning Moto3 world champion. Alvaro Carpe from 13th on the grid. Another rider rewarded for sticking at it this weekend when it didn't look like it was going his way for much of the piece. Deputy President of the FIA, Ignacio Veda, gives the prize away despite nearly overshooting and heading over to Max Quiles. It's Quiles' turn next to accept 4th winning trophy of the season, his 7th Moto3 victory and his 15th podium. Those statistics are just going to grow and grow as we go through this season. It feels like records might be in the offing for Max Quiles this season as he continues his relentless run towards what already feels like inevitable Moto3 title glory.
It's magic. Max Quiles here in Montmello, who takes yet another victory in what has been a sensational start to his 2026 Moto3 World Championship campaign. He leads home Carpe and Munoz in a super tense finish to what was a super battle here at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. There were some great rides throughout the top 10 in particular. When you look at Pratama and O'Gorman, really did have to do some early aggressive overtaking. And speaking of overtaking, how many were there at the front of that Grand Prix? I don't have to count them. and moving forward to Mugello in a couple of weeks' time, because that race just had a little bit of everything, didn't it? But once again, standing tall and standing proud on the top step of the podium, it was Max Quiles, the 18-year-old, already taken under the wing of Marc and Alex Marquez. Make no mistake, that kid is going all the way to the top.
And surely all the way to Moto3 title glory this season. Quiles with the third win in a row to deny Carpe and Munoz at the final corner. Brian Ariarte, a career best fourth, ahead of Almanza and Morelli, who was as low as 20th, wasn't he, at one point, got back up to 6th. Danisha, career best seventh, ahead of Pratama, Fernandez and O'Gorman. Eddie O'Shea, fine ride for him, just 5 seconds off the win in 11th. Peroni from pole back to 12th, ahead of Cruces, Bertelli, and a solitary point for Ryusei Yamanaka. Rico Salmella surely would have been on the points without his long lap penalty early on. Guido Pini, he served 2 long laps during that race, fell to 21st in the end. Jesus Rios and Nicola Carraro, the Snipers Hondas, the 2 retirements. Rios, of course, was in that lead battle when he crashed on the penultimate lap. Max Quiles extends his World Championship lead now up to 64 points. He has nearly double the points of his nearest title rival, Adrian Fernandez. He's now just 3 ahead of Alvaro Carpe in second. Morelli up 2 to 4th. He's the leading rookie now, ahead of Vedapratama. Valentin Peroni down 2 places today. Almanza up ahead of Pini into 7th. Ariarte and Munoz complete the top 10 in the World Championship. Munoz now up to 38 points. Hakim Danish, another big mover today. He climbs 4 places. KTM's Constructors' Championship lead now up to 45 points. The top Honda finisher today, well, that was Vedapratama in 8th. And for the CF Motor Cabio Teraspar team, 1st and 6th for them today. Their lead over Leopard is now up to 76. Let's have a look at the highlights. Sadly for Valentin Peroni, this was the only time we'd see him at the very front of the race. Clearly some sort of issue for the pole sitter, who faded to 12th. Curious strategy for Max Quiles, wasn't it? Who disappears almost out of picture altogether as he goes directly down the left-hand side of the racetrack, as everyone else stuck to the right. Ariarte, who won that drag race into the first corner, and actually spent probably more time leading the Grand Prix than anyone today, sadly falling agonisingly short Fernandez, Morelli and Pratama back in 8th place.
Blessed with stunning mountain scenery and world-renowned architecture, MotoGP has landed in breathtaking Barcelona for the Monster Energy Grand Prix of Catalunya. Barcelona is one of the world's major cultural centres and lies 150 kilometres south of the French border. And Alex Marquez completed a dream double with victory in the Battle of Barcelona. It's time to race in MotoGP. Good afternoon and welcome back to Catalunya. We are still a little bit breathless here in Barcelona after we have just had an epic, a classic Moto3 race to kick off Chapter 6 in this year's MotoGP World Championship. Don't worry if you're just tuning in. No spoilers here in the commentary box, but if you did miss our opening Grand Prix here in the Monster Energy Grand Prix of Catalunya, well, it was an absolute corker. Make sure you do catch up with it at some stage. Next on the agenda ahead of the 24th MotoGP race, which will see Marco Bezzecchi trying to extend a 2-point lead over his Aprilia teammate Jorge Martin. Can Alex Marquez, for the second time this season on Spanish soil, take the spoils? He's a back-to-back winner in Jerez. Can he be a back-to-back winner in Barcelona? Well, Alex has already tasted some winning Prosecco this weekend, having taken the gold medal in yesterday's closest ever sprint finish in the Premier class. What is turning out to be a rather fascinating and intriguing early battle for Moto2 glory is up next, the latest instalment in the Intermediate World Championship chase, which sees Manu Gonzalez looking to build on a 9.5-point World Championship lead he has over Ethan Guevara. Manu Gonzalez will get the opportunity to increase that lead from the front row of the grid. A front row which is led by the Boscascura of Celestino Vietti, his first pole position in 35 Grand Prix since he led the field away at the Red Bull Ring in Austria back in 2024. His 8th pole position. Only Aaron Canet on the current grid has more poles now in Moto2 than the 24-year-old. Big day beckoning as well for Celestino. He's scheduled to make his 100th Moto2 start. Can he do it from the top step of the podium? He leads a front row which includes Colin Via and Manu Gonzalez. Via does have a long lap to serve in this upcoming Grand Prix here in Barcelona, and he's practicing it. There you go, straight away. The Netherlands rider through the long lap penalty loop from the front row after an incident with Danny Munoz in Lemans last weekend. Moto2 up next then, in the company of Matt Burt, Lewis Silverby in the commentary box with Jack Appleyard down in pit lane. A close one to call the Moto2 campaign so far this season. Lewis, we've got Manu Gonzalez, winner of the only Grand Prix leading the championship. This is a recap of Via's indiscretion last weekend.
Yes, Danny Munoz, who's just on the far right of the picture there, and you can see Via trying to sweep up the inside of him, going for a gap that sadly was not there. Ruined Munoz's race, and we'll find out over the next hour or so how much it's going to ruin Colin Via's Catalan Grand Prix, because he's, as you mentioned, starting from the front row of the grid. It's a long lap penalty here that has played a key role in Moto2 battles before here. You might recall Fermin Aldeguer when he was battling for the lead, crashing while serving a long lap penalty down there a couple of years ago. But so many ingredients into this Moto2 battle, with Vietti on red-hot form this weekend on pole, Gonzalez alongside him with his 2 closest title rivals looking to mount comebacks from the fourth row.
Ethan Guevara, our most recent winner in Le Mans last weekend. Second win in the last 6 Grand Prix for the 21-year-old Spaniard. 4 podiums in the last 6. Guevara really has risen to prominence in the Moto2 World Championship to such an extent that if you believe the gossip columns, he's nailed on for a Pramac Yamaha MotoGP seat alongside Toprak Razgatlioglu, the triple world superbike champion in MotoGP next season. Vietti is 4th in the championship. As always, a rock-solid start from the Italian. 6 in Buram, 9th in Brazil. He's only podium the season so far. That's 2nd place in Texas. That's been followed by a double top 6 in Jerez and in Le Mans. So once again, Vietti has got great consistency. Not the top Boscascura rider in the championship, is he? Might be top Boscascura on the grid for this upcoming 21-lap race, but it's Ethan Guevara who's led the way championship charge-wise for the Italian manufacturer.
So here is Celestino Vietti, who, if you were with us in Le Mans, you'll know that Speed RS team made a pretty dramatic change to their bikes for the French Grand Prix. They changed from the Öhlins to WP suspension, and I have to say, it's looking like a pretty good decision right about now. Vietti, despite his own long lap penalty back at the French Grand Prix, still finished up in 6th place. And outside of FP2, when he was clearly working on very worn tyres, he's been fastest in every session so far in this Catalan Grand Prix weekend.
And he has been here and done it before. He won the 2022 Moto2 class here in Catalunya from pole position. At that stage of the season, he was 16 points clear in the title chase, then really fell away in the second half of the campaign. Shining once again on a Boscoscuro is Aaron Canet, by far his season best qualifying performance of the season for Moto2 winner himself. Canet goes from 6 and he's with Jack on the grid.
Yeah, it's been a tough start to the year for you, Aaron, but this is much more like it. How confident are you going into this race?
Well, I'm happy to be back here on the second row again. So let's see at the end. It will be one of the management races that already passed on the past. So let's see. We need to go step by step on that track, on that race, thinking on the end of the race also, because the rear tire will drop a lot.
Good luck, have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, expecting this to be a time management race thanks to the 26-year-old from Valencia. His last 6 starts here in Catalunya have been first, second or non-finish. Manu Gonzalez then on the front row of the grid, just as he did 1 year ago in 2025. He has kicked off the campaign with 4 podiums in the opening 5 Grand Prix. For much of the first half of last season, it looked like he was going to deliver a Moto2 World Championship for the Dynovolt intact squad before he fell away quite dramatically in that championship charge with Diogo Moreira and Ivan Ortola. Starting to show his true colours, his best form in Moto2 right now. He's going to be a danger man from the end of that second row in 4th place, Lewis.
Well, should be easy compared to what he did in Le Mans a week ago when he came all the way from 15th in qualifying, 14th on the grid to finish in 3rd place. Did so much of his work on the first couple of laps in that race, and of course has been a podium finisher in the not just in Le Mans but in the recent past on Spanish tarmac back in Valencia late last year. Here's Alonso Lopez, who starts from 5th place, 5th top 10 qualifying in a row. Certainly is enjoying life on a Calix, having switched from the Boscoscuro last season, and we've certainly seen already this year Lopez is a famed fast starter.
4th in Le Mans last weekend was Lopez's first top 6 in 24 Grand Prix. That's since his podium over in Austin. Heading in the second or third row of the grid, rather, I should say, is Philip Salat, who's been one of the most unluckiest riders, not just in Moto2, but in world racing so far this year. If there's been incidents, if there's been tangles, then Philip Salat seems to have been rather an innocent victim of some of the early drama in Moto2 this year. He has done well, though, this weekend. Has the Czech rider 7th place on the grid. Goes Salat. He's qualified top 10 in 3 of the opening 6 Grand Prix.
Just ahead of him, who we've already heard from, is Aaron Canet, the 44, his best Boscoscuro qualifying since joining Mark BDS. A couple of places to his left, you'll find Ivan Ortola, who lines up 4th. He's with Jack.
Yeah, he does, front of the second row of the grid, fresh off a podium last week. Ivan, you must be really confident going into this.
Yeah, yesterday I feel really confident for the qualifying. Let's see for today's pace. It will be a really hard race, I think, because of the tire drop. Yeah, I will try to keep there and do my best.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And the 3rd time in 28 Moto2 starts for Ortola, getting away in the top 6 on the grid.
Antonio Rueda, 9th on the grid, and how good is it to see Rueda, the Moto3 world champion, up towards the sharp end. We started to see signs of it in Le Mans. It has to be said, it was by far and away his best Moto2 weekend to date. Just didn't have the pace in the race, but right from Prix Practice 1 this weekend, Rueda at a circuit that he's gone well at every time he's raced here at Moto3, starting to show his class finally in Moto2.
Yeah, the 20-year-old Spaniard has been red hot here previously in his Moto3 career. 3 podiums in 4, never finished lower than 4th, did he, in the Moto3 class. As we look at Danny Holgado, who had a sensational start to this year's campaign. His form has dipped off, certainly of late. Disqualification for not running the front fender last time out in Le Mans. Let's go down, though. Colin Vire with a bit of work to do. Front row is a great result, but he does have a long lap to serve in this upcoming Grand Prix. Let's get the thoughts of Bits boss, Nicky Iowa.
Yeah, Nicky, great job yesterday by Colin to put it on the front row of the grids. This looks like it's going to be a challenging race to manage, especially with the sun having gone in now. Temperature's much cooler. Talk us through the game plan.
Obviously, in Colin's case, it's going to be a lot more difficult with the long lap, but yeah, I think he has showed this weekend that, you know, the pace is there again. and Jose Antonio as well. So let's hope he gets through the long lap as he should, and recovers back. So but yeah, obviously it's going to be more difficult because of that.
You mentioned Jose Antonio. What a great weekend for him. It feels like a much needed one as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think he looks like a new boy after the arm pump surgery, so I think they probably had a surgery on his brain as well. So anyway, he's looking much better now. He got that well-needed confidence boost, and I think his time will come soon.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much to Nicky Ayo. Thanks very much, Jack. Well, whatever surgery, arm pump or brain, it's worked a treat of late, hasn't it, for Jose Antonio Veda. 1 point finish so far this season for the reigning Moto3 world champion. That came over in Austin, Texas.
As you saw while we were hearing from Nicky Ayo there, he's not the only rookie doing very impressive things this weekend inside the top 10. Luca Lanetta right behind him. Lanetta qualifying 10th, having come through qualifying 1 yesterday. So there are 3 Bosca scorers in the top 10 and 4 on the front 4 rows of the grid. It's a bit of pressure on Lanetta's shoulders, you have to say, with the riders 2nd and 3rd in the World Championship right next to it.
Top 10 in the last 3 Grand Prix for Senna Aegis, of course, for those back-to-back wins in Austin and Jerez. 3rd time, though, in 6 Grand Prix he has found himself starting outside of the top 10 as we look further down the grid and pick up Deniz Oncu in the distance. The Turks had his best qualifying since the Sachsenring last year. And we talked about Philip Salac getting himself in a spot of bother on a few occasions so far this year. I think David Alonso has too, Lewis. We haven't really seen the explosive David Alonso at the front of the Grand Prix in Moto2 so far this year. He's racking up some big point-scoring finishes without really dazzling right at the sharp end.
No, he's been short of luck this weekend so far in Barcelona. It's not so much the right shoulder that's been inconveniencing him this weekend. He had an electrical problem on Friday afternoon in practice, which dropped him into qualifying 1. He came through Q1, but could get himself up as high as 13th on the grid.
He has been top 5 in 8 of his last 11 starts, has the 20-year-old Colombian. And what a record he had here in Moto3. He won all 3 appearances in the Moto3 World Championship. So this is a circuit which Alonso does like, he does favour. And let's be honest, it's very early days in the championship. He is still 5th in the standings. I don't think too many of us, though, thought we'd be getting to round 6, and we're still awaiting a first top 3, a first podium of the season for Alonso. But that's the state of play heading into this Catalan Grand Prix.
Podium finisher here last year, Dani Munoz, hasn't really shown too much of a sign of a repeat so far this weekend. Hoping to get through cleanly, though, after that contact with Veda last weekend. Munoz goes from the back of the 5th row in 15th place. He shares that row with Alonso and Ayumu Sasaki.
3rd last year, of course, standing in for the injured Deniz Oncu at Red Bull KTM Ayo. It was his first podium. He set the fastest lap in that Grand Prix as well, did Munoz. Speaking of Deniz Oncu, that there is the Turk. His best qualifying of the season as he tries to get to grips with the Bosca scorer's chassis. Points in 3 of the opening 5 Grand Prix, but only 1 top 10 to boot so far for the Turk. So we are building up then towards the start of this Chapter 6 in the Moto2 World Championship. Manu Gonzalez took a 9.5 point lead into the French Grand Prix last weekend. He left the French Grand Prix still with the same buffer. 9.5 points is his lead over Ethan Guevara, and Gonzalez does go from the front row of the grid here this afternoon with his main championship rival down in 11th place. Colin Vire with a long lap to serve goes from 2nd, but is it going to be another victory in Moto2 for Celestino Vietti? He starts his 100th Moto2 race from pole.
21 laps of Moto2 to come with Celestino Vietti on pole in Barcelona. Colin Vire has a long lap penalty to serve, starts 2nd. Manu Gonzalez, the championship leader, completes the front row. Ivan Otto that equals his best qualifying in 2026 and 4th, ahead of Alonso Lopez and Aaron Canet, his best qualifying since Portimao last year. Philip Salac 7th, ahead of last year's pole and race winner Danny Holgado. First Q2 appearances for rookies Jose Antonio Rueda and Luca Lanetta, who complete the top 10. Ethan Guevara and Senna Aegis, 2nd and 3rd in the championship, complete row 4, ahead of David Alonso, Ayumu Sasaki, and podium finisher here last year, Dani Munoz. Deniz Oncu 16th, ahead of Alberto Ferrandez, his first Q2 appearance, although he came together with Alexis Scridge, who starts right next to him in 18th place. Van den Gorpo crashed in Q1, so he's 19th, ahead of Garcia, and Barry Baltas, his worst qualifying since Thailand 2024. Unai Aradre, who's in for the injured ankle Picaris, is 22nd, ahead of Ferrosato and Arbolino, his worst qualifying since he qualified at the back here last year. Joe Roberts 25th ahead of Adrian Huertas, Xabi Duratuza, who's in for the injured Jorge Navarro, and there is no Mario Aggi for Honda Team Asia, injured right hand.
So the omens are good if you're Celestino Vietti. 13 of our 17 Moto2 battles here previously in Barcelona have been won from pole position. Vietti did it himself here from pole 4 years ago in 2022.
Interesting tyre information from Pirelli. Everyone's on the same rear tyre, the SC0. Nobody really liked the development, the soft rear tyre that was brought here by Pirelli, so they've gone for the tyre they know. But on the front tyre, the vast majority have gone for the soft front tyre, the SC1. 3 key runners, though, to look out for who are on the medium front. Vaya, who starts second, and the 2 Aspar riders, Holgado and Alonso, they are on the medium front.
Martinez Aspar will feel like his boys are due a big result. Holgado's early season form when he was 3rd in Thailand, and then a brilliant victory from pole position on our first visit to Goiânia. Those 2 Grand Prix feel like an awful long time ago, don't we, as far as Holgado's concerned. There's been no top 10 since, although he was disqualified from a decent point scoring finish in Le Mans last weekend. His Aspar machine not compliant with aero regulations and bodywork regulations after the brilliant repair work by his Aspar team. Unfortunately, there was no front fender when he made the restart, and that sees a DS next to the classification for Holgado. Let's not forget, though, here last September, the 21-year-old was absolutely superb. He won here last year, his first win in Moto2, and he led every single lap. It's a big ask for him to repeat that from 8th place on the grid. Danny Holgado. One of the big obstacles ahead of him is the number 13 bike of Celestino Vietti. 8 times a Moto2 Grand Prix winner, Celestino Vietti. He led twice though last season in the opening Grand Prix in Burram in front of his home crowd in Misano, which was the last time we saw Celestino Vietti victorious in the Moto2 World Championship. Looking for a big payday, looking for some big points from that pole position. 4th in the championship is Vietti, then going into this 21 lap battle. It's lights out and we're racing then in Moto2 here in Catalunya. It's a really good start from 3rd place on the grid by Manu Gonzalez, who's going to go through the gearbox and maybe have the inside line and lead on this long run down to the 1st corner. Ortola's been rapid away from the 2nd row. Going backwards is Vaya. Lopez looks like he's going to be in 4th. Salah's trying to go the long way around on the outside of Kinnett. Oh, Gonzalez was getting tight there between Gonzalez and Vietti through turn 2. Vietti from pole leads.
Vietti wants that track position. We've got a Bosca score in 4th as well. That is Aaron Kinnett. Guevara is also well up on the 1st lap. He's up into 7th place ahead of the 2 Aspar riders, Holgado and Alonso, and Vaya now 10th.
Yeah, Alonso trying to fire it on the inside of his Aspar teammate Holgado going through 4. Holgado's been hung out to dry there, and hugging the curb on the inside was Alonso on the 80 bike, jostling for position further down with Onju.
That's Lopez up the inside of Kinnett. Guevara's now 6th ahead of Salach, and then the Aspar riders, who have run into each other already as recently as last weekend in Le Mans. They don't often work particularly well together. Guevara very aggressive on this 1st lap, out of position on the grid, but the Le Mans winner is already up to 5th.
Both of Ortola's previous Moto2 podiums, he's come from outside the top 10. He's got himself in great early track position though here today. Immediately he's inside that top 3, helped of course by that 2nd row start. There he is on the 4 bike, just dropping that left leg into turn 10. Alonso then now on the inside of Kinnett. Hasn't been the best start to this Grand Prix as far as Kinnett's concerned. He's going the wrong way at the moment. I think Aegis has just picked him up as well.
He's lost 3 places, and I think around 3 or 4 corners. It's not been a good start for either of the IO riders. Vaya's race is absolutely trashed. He's now 17th and still with the long lap to serve. His teammate Jose Antonio Rueda has also lost a heap of places. He's 19th.
Just didn't get that KTM machine off the line, did he, at all? Colin Vaya. So yeah, he's got it all on to rescue a point scoring place here as Vietti then leads for the first time since Bazzano last year. On that occasion, he got the job done in front of his home crowd. It's Gonzalez in 2nd. There was Ortola. The fast-starting Lopez. We know how good he is in the first 5 or 6 laps. He's under big pressure, though, from Ethan Guevara, the French Grand Prix winner.
Guevara hot, though, into turn 1, and that almost opened the door for Holgado to come through. Last year's Catalan Grand Prix winner. It's Holgado who's now the lead Aspar rider, having cleared Alonso again at the end of that 1st lap.
Looking very, very comfortable, very, very settled, isn't he, at the front of this Grand Prix. Celestino Vietti was fastest in both practice sessions on Friday, on pole position yesterday, so he's had a great weekend so far. Looking back to the 96 biker of Danny Holgado, this time around fully equipped with the front fender, as you can see from the onboard. We were looking back from Ethan Guevara's Blue Crew Pramac machine.
Keeping an eye out for Aegis, third in the World Championship, also making up ground. He's just behind the second of the asphalt bikes. There he's on the 81, so he's starting to ghost into contention. He's another rider who's passed Aaron Canet in these early stages. Canet now back into P9.
Not taking advantage of his first top 10 start in Moto to his Moto3 current king, Jose Antonio Rueda, who started 9th. Rueda's lost 9 places early on. He's down in 18th place. Well outside of the point scoring places as it stands right now. Vietti at the front. Alonso's got through into 7th. Alonso then through now on Aegis. He started to make some big forward progress.
Guevara looks like he wants to get a move on quickly and get past Alonso Lopez, who we're not entirely sure is going to have the long run race pace to stay with the 3 up ahead of him. So it's key for Guevara to clear that 21 quickly. And Lopez, one of the taller Moto2 riders in the field, is surely going to be exposed on the run down to turn 1.
Guevara is the fastest rider on circuit. He'll get even quicker now as well with some slipstream behind Lopez. He's got the inside line, 28 versus 21. Lopez tries to tough it out on the brakes, but he just has to yield. Guevara, who's just later on the brakes, nabbed the inside line more crucially as well. So Guevara up from 11th to 4th. This has been a superb first 2 and a bit laps as far as the rider's second in the standings is concerned.
And crucial that he's made up so much of this ground so early, so he hasn't taken too much out of his tyres in the early stages. There's a bit of a school of thought. Senna Aegis said this on Friday, that he suspects that the Boscoscuros are going to be slightly better at keeping their rear tyre in to the end of the race. Lopez hasn't got any thoughts of helping out title contenders as he dives back up the inside of car to take 4th back.
Lopez then dishing out what he got from Guevara just a couple of corners previously. So they're having their little squabble for 4th and 5th place as it stands at the moment. Guevara came onto this lap as the quickest rider on circuit. Just for reference, a 1:42.048 is the best lap of this Grand Prix so far. We're back on board then with Guevara trying to attack Lopez now on the brakes in the turn 10. He's got the inside line once again, and nothing that Lopez can do. He gets really good drive grip, doesn't he, off some of these fast corners, Guevara. Just sets up the move on the brakes. The corners beforehand, that was clean as a whistle.
Boscoscuro really hooking up nicely. Salac has now passed Canet 2, Canet back to 10th, so Salac runs 9th, then it's Canet. Lunetta is the one rookie who is staying around towards the sharp end of the race. He's just leading the next group. Lunetta 11th from Unchu, Sasaki, Munoz and Baltus, who is now up into the points, having qualified way outside the top 20.
It's a pretty hot early pace this from Chelsea Vietti. In fact, that is the first ever 1:41 lap we've seen in Moto2. That's 4/10 quicker than Danny Munoz's best lap here in the Grand Prix last September. Here comes Lopez now. He's trying to tough it out with Holgado on the brakes into the first corner. Not able to find a way through, but Vietti then getting his head down early on here. A bit of a snap there as he changed direction going into turn 3 with a 1:41.962. Already Vietti asking some big questions of the chasing pack.
And once again, he's one of the tallest riders, if not the tallest in the field here. Nothing Lopez could do about that. Just free lap time for Holgado, and just easily went around the outside of him on the run down to turn 1. Next is Alonso. That's David Alonso, not Alonso Lopez, who's in 7th place. Aegis in there too, and they will also be keen to clear that Grassini Calex as quick as possible.
So there is Vietti, who at the moment has been absolutely picture perfect at the front in this Grand Prix. With a great start from pole position. As it stands, he has not seen anybody else's rear tyre in the early phases of this race. There he is now sweeping through the high-speed right-hand at turn 9. Further back down the order is Alonso in 7th place. Colin Vai's been kind of stuck in 16th for the early couple of laps after his dreadful start from that front row. Here comes Alonso, firing it on the inside of Alonso Lopez. David Alonso then will get through, although really, there was contact there. Some big contact between Lopez and Alonso. It was Lopez that came out the worst of it. He now wired through 12, and that's allowed Aegis to sweep through.
Already a big look to his right there from Alonso Lopez, just to see what group he has behind and what sort of gap he has over them. So Lopez has been beaten up pretty badly, having got up as high as 4th in these early stages. Can he now just stick with this group ahead of him and pull clear clear of the group led by Salac up behind.
Vietti, that's back-to-back hot laps here in Barcelona, 141.943. It's another new race record. Down we also go. Guevara is the only other rider in the 41s. Keep an eye on the 28 bike in 4th place, because Guevara is starting to find some serious early pace. Of course, another Boscoscura rider, just like Vietti is. The gap over the line between Vietti and Gonzalez has crept up to over half a second. Vietti's biggest lead he's had in this Grand Prix so far.
Via has just come in, I think, for his long lap penalty, which has dropped him out of the points. He's now down in 20th place, so his teammate Rueda is now back into 16th and just outside the World Championship points. This is the battle, or it was the battle, for 9th place. Salac versus the rookie who's catching the eye of a few, and not just because he's on the bright yellow colour scheme with the boots and the helmet. Luca Lanetta, of course, injury interrupted Moto2 rookie season, but showing what it's all about here.
From his worst qualifying in 30 Grand Prix, Barry Baltas has finally worked his way up into the point scoring places. He's in 50th, but it's been another tough weekend for the rider. One of the standout rides in this Moto2 back last year when he was 3rd overall in the standings. Bayer has completed his long lap as we pick up the lead group. There's Gonzalez 2nd as we go through turn 10. Ortola in 3rd place. It's been as you were in terms of that top 3 since pretty much the first corner of this Grand Prix. At the moment, you have to say there's nobody getting close to laying a glove on Vietti.
It is the rider that could potentially lay a glove on Vietti, who's currently following Manu Gonzalez. Doesn't look like Gonzalez at this stage of the race, at least, has the pace to go with the number 13. So does Ivan Ortola feel that he has to make a move pretty quickly? But Gonzalez gets well off that final corner, doesn't he? Pulls a few bike lengths out on Ortola, which means that he's just going to be hoping that that slipstream effect kicks in, allowing him to attack the World Championship leader into turn 1, but he can't catch him in time.
Vietti's too quick, just too quick. Successive 41.9s on the previous 2 laps, and that was a 42 flat. And nobody else really anywhere near that benchmark. So at the moment, Vietti just eking his lead out now to 6/10, almost 7/10 of a second. Gonzalez doing low 42s, but at the moment it's just not good enough to go with the Italian. Baltas has just picked off 14th from Sasaki further down the point scoring places, as we're now looking at this battle that's going to unfold shortly between Alonso and Agius.
80 versus 81. I think Agius attacked Alonso into turn 1, but wasn't able to get that move done. A little bit wide there. Well, he'll be able to take a later apex and potentially give him a better exit from turn number 5. But Agius currently locked down there in 7th place. He's only, 2 seconds off the race lead, but a lot of traffic for Agius to try and pick his way through here.
See off into the distance, your race leader Vietti keeping that advantage over Gonzalez to 6/10 of a second. Oh, Agius was really rapid through turn 9, wasn't he? Alonso was wide on the curves on the outside, but he's just too good on the brakes. No way that Agius can find a way through into this heavy braking zone for turn 10. Agius' front tyre almost rubbing Alonso's rear tyre. There's some battle this, as now Alonso goes wide. Alonso went a little bit wide, cutting to the tighter inside line. Hugging the curve was Agius through 12.
He loves it into turn 12, doesn't he? Whether it was helped by riders ahead of him or all his own work. That's twice now we've seen Senna Agius pass riders, both with Alonso in their name, through turn 12. So he's now up into 6th place. 42.1 for Vietti, 42.2s for the riders right behind him, Gonzalez and Ortola. That lead just creeps up by a 10th every lap, and Vietti just looking in supreme form at the front of this Grand Prix, as he has, in fairness, for most of this weekend.
Yeah, 8 wins previously in his Moto2 career for Vietti. Nobody has more wins on the current grid than the 24-year-old Italian. This will be some time to find win number 9, because the boss, Valentino Rossi, of course, mentor and manager to Vietti, is here this weekend, and Vietti's name has cropped up in terms of a possible seat in the VR46 Ducati squad in MotoGP next year. So this could be perfect timing as far as Vietti's concerned, throwing his name well and truly into the hat for that seat alongside Fermin Aldeguer next year.
Yeah, the problem that Agius has got here now is that Alonso, whether it's because he's too busy defending from behind, of course, having taken that back again into turn 1, is that they're starting to lose ground to the 5 up ahead. You can see Agius is clearly quicker than Alonso, but he's not quicker in the right parts of the racetrack. He can't outbrake Alonso. He's quicker through the corners, gets a great run, but he's now on the right-hand side, and Alonso's going to have the inside for 10.
That was just some astonishing jaw-dropping onboard, wasn't it there? How close was it as Agius charges into turn 10, he runs wide, and gives the place immediately then back to Alonso. He's going to go through once again. Is he going through 12? What a battle. What a battle these two are producing in front of the grandstand here in Catalonia. What's that, 2 or 3 moves they made on each other already on this lap 7 of 21. That onboard there just showed the skills and bravery of these two. Absolutely phenomenal time to ride on board with Aegis. Has he finally broken though, Alonso? Yeah, he gives a bit of a wave there back to the Colombian. Yeah, just let's play. You can follow me for a little bit. No, David Alonso is not going to pay any attention whatsoever to that, is he? And he's going to send it on the inside of Aegis. How good is Aegis on the brakes into turn 1? Well, that's how good he is.
Too late.
Little bits in hot, but he's just going to chop across the nose of Alonso. This is, of course, now though dragging back into contention for the 6th place. Lopez, don't discount Salac either, not too far back, as well as Luca Lunetta.
Shows how late he's having to brake to try and keep Alonso behind him. Overshot turn 10, and that's why he had to go around the outside of 11, and then nearly overshot turn 1 as well. As a result of that, Aegis is now 3.2 seconds off the race leader, Celestino Vietti, who was matched that time by Gonzalez and Ortola. The lead staying at around 0.6 of a second. Guevara is in a little bit of a lonely-ish 4th now. He's a 2.5 back of the lead.
It's been absolutely flawless this so far by Vietti. Just been able to keep that gap. 6.10 he was clear on lap 5, and it's not dropped under that benchmark really ever since, has it? Not giving Gonzalez and Ortola a sniff at the moment. That is the Italian. He'll go hard on the brakes, and then now into turn 10. Yeah, there is Holgado in 5th place at the moment. He's not really been close enough to show Guevara his front wheel. Further back, having finally got the better of that entertaining joust with Alonso. It is Aegis that is now up into that 6th place. What has he got maybe to drag himself and the following pack back into podium contention?
He's now a 2.5 behind Holgado, immediately ahead of him on the racetrack. So we'll see what the sort of gap is to the leader. Aegis, any hope of him getting on the podium might have just been damaged by that battle with Alonso. He's now 3.9 seconds. They were in the 43s on that last lap, and Alonso is not finished with Senna yet.
Yeah, trying to go side by side once again with some slipstream. 2 goes Lopez there, top of your picture on the 21 bike. First time in this Grand Prix that Gonzalez and Ortola have been slightly, and I say slightly, faster than Vietti. A 142.4 from Celestino Vietti. I mean, he was doing 41.9s not that long ago, so his pace has slackened off by about half a second. Gonzalez and Ortola were 42.3s on that last lap, but still the gap over 0.6 of a second.
Aaron Canet isn't enjoying his afternoon. He's been passed by Munoz, and he's now in a battle with Barry Baltus for 12th place. And that group that Canet's in goes all the way back to Sergio Garcia in P18. And in fact, he's now been passed by both Rueda and Baltus. So having started from a season's best 6th, Canet's in danger of dropping all the way out of the points now.
After his long lap and shocking start, Colin Vira has worked his way back up into a P19. He's just behind Sergio Garcia, so via maybe rescue points scoring finish. Yeah, he certainly can. He has got time as we ride on board with Manu Gas, full gas before he hits the brakes into this tight turn 10. Ortola all over his rear tyre. It's been a lonely 4th place, hasn't it, for Guevara. Just on this last lap, Vietti has responded. The gap for the first time, and now this is the biggest lead we have seen. It's up to over 3/4 of a second for the first time.
It's been a poor lap for David Alonso. He's, of course, still busy trying to battle with Senna Aegis. He's now got 2 bikes between himself and the 81. Both Lopez and Salac have passed David Alonso, who is short of actual mileage this weekend after an electrical problem on Friday afternoon. Is he just started to struggle as we reached half distance?
Pace is dropping off big time here. 42.6 that from Vietti, which is 0.7 of a second from what we've seen of him the fastest in this Grand Prix. But more significantly, it was a response to Gonzalez and Ortola. Further back, this is some battle, isn't it? Raging at 4-6. Aegis, Lopez, Salac and Alonso. Now Salac has got through on Alonso, so the Czech rider up into 8th.
Alonso into turn 1 there looked like he was really struggling to stop that Kalex, and he said on Friday that he was really struggling under braking because they just didn't have the setup sorted, having done so little laps over the weekend. So this is starting to look a little bit precarious for Alonso in terms of getting some decent points on this Grand Prix, because look at Lunetta now starting to catch him in 10th place.
Factory Honda MotoGP bound as well as David Alonso. He'll be linking up with Fabio Quartararo in 2027. That's not officially confirmed, but trust us, that's been a red-hot rumour for quite some time. As Celestino Vietti, whether there's been a mistake in sector 2 or whether he's Manu Gonzalez having a cracking lap here. We're not sure, but the gap has come down to under half a second. So he started this lap 10 with his biggest lead, did Vietti, but it's now down to just over half a second.
Fascinating to know what Guevara's up to at the moment in fourth. Is he just playing a bit of a waiting game, sitting there in fourth place and hoping the race comes to him on a Boscascura, which might well manage its tyres a little bit better in the latter stages, or is he just on his limit, staying there in fourth place? He's not under any immediate pressure from Holgado in fifth. In fact, he was 3 tenths quicker than Holgado on the last lap, but at the moment, at this stage, as we reach half distance, Guevara in a bit of a lonely fourth.
Been a good recovery ride this by Rueda so far. We saw him as low as, what, 18th, 19th after a poor first lap, but he's worked his way back into the point scoring places. The Moto3 World Champion is in 12th. Look at Colin Via there now, really big picture, middle of the front row of the grid, and he's just going to sink without trace, isn't he? Via immediately passed by Lopez and Ortola from the second row of the grid. Now a whole other bunch of bikes come flying through as well. The Aspar pair of Holgado and Alonso get in before you hit the brakes for the first corner. So he was already struggling outside the top 10 through the very first turn of this Grand Prix, wasn't he, Via? And this was the long lap looming.
There's contact there, so that was where he lost further ground. Some contact with a former Moto3 foe of his, Yumu Sasaki. Another rider who's starting to struggle here in this race is Holgado in fifth place. He just did a 43.3 on the last lap. He's 6 tenths a lap slower than Vietti, and already on this lap he's lost further time to the group immediately ahead of him, and he's starting to reverse back towards the Aegis Lopez battle, which Lopez is now leading. He's passed Aegis for 6th.
Does not look like there's going to be back-to-back Moto2 successes for Guevara. Of the quartet, the top 4 in this Grand Prix was the slowest on that last lap at 42.8, so he's in danger of slipping into the 43s himself here. We know as Alex Escreed, we're just getting confirmation on our screen that Alex Escreed is going to have to serve a long lap penalty for causing contact further down the field. At the moment, Alex Escreed, well, he's at the back at the moment.
It's pitted for
yeah, I was
some
going to
reason.
say he's got a P next to his name, so he's entering the pits.
So the penalty rather immaterial now for Alex Escreed, who certainly caused some contact yesterday in qualifying, because he high-sided straight into poor Alberto Ferrandez. Ferrandez at the moment is in 21st place. They all exchange 42.7s, the top 3. Guevara responded a bit, 42.8 for him, but once again 43.3 for Gianni Holgado, the top 4 in a completely different race right now.
6 tenths once again is Vietti's advantage over Gonzalez. Gonzalez just cannot shake off Kenny Ortola, a menace right on his rear tyre for the entirety of this Grand Prix so far. Can the two Spaniards, what have they got left to try and close in on Vietti, who's been immaculate once again? If there's been a mistake from Vietti, our cameras haven't caught it, have they? Because whenever we've seen him, he's been absolutely on rails in a race where fading grip, deteriorating grip is going to play such a key factor. Zuratuza, just have a look on our screens, has got a long lap penalty. He's in there this weekend for the injured Jorge Navarro.
So Lopez with a slightly tighter inside line there, whether he was trying to defend or whether that's just his preferred route through turn 5. It certainly thwarted any attempt of Salac taking that 7th place away from him. Senna Aegis has taken that one, of course, back again, because we're riding on board with him at the moment. The 81 in 6th place. He's around a second and a half back from Danny Holgado. Holgado doing 43.3s. It's half a second adrift in terms of pace of the leaders, but at the moment he's not plummeting too much in terms of the 4 riders we're watching that are in the next battle behind. 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th on your screen.
Yeah, it feels like the second half of this Grand Prix is going to be a race of survival. Who can just nurse the tyres to the finish line? We're on lap 12 of 21, so we've tipped over the halfway stage of this chapter number 6 in 2026 as we follow Aegis then through turn 14. At the front, out of your picture, Vietti still, of course, he is 6 tenths of a second clear of Gonzalez. 1:42.9 share between Gonzalez and Ortola. So it's our top 3 at the moment that are the only 3 that have not as yet dipped into the 43s, as the pace really does start to drop off. Surely very soon Vietti and Gonzalez and Ortola will be in the 43s as well. When you think that Vietti's best lap was a 1:41.9, and now most of the riders, all bar 3, are doing 43, some doing 44s. It just shows you, doesn't it, a clear indication of how significant the tyre drop-off here is in Barcelona.
would be a third straight second place for Manu Gonzalez if he stays where he is. Wouldn't be the worst result, though, in terms of the championship for him, with his nearest rival Kvara a couple of places behind him in fourth. That would see him extend his lead to 16.5 points, and Senna Aegis, who's third overall, is down in sixth. Of course, it would certainly benefit Celestino Vietti. He would move up ahead of Aegis and up into third place in the World Championship if he can see this one through.
It's just so measured right now from Vietti. Just Gonzalez has been within, what, half a second of him for a couple of sectors on one lap, 3 or 4 laps ago. Other than that, it's been half a second, 6/10 has been the gap that Vietti's managing quite beautifully at the moment. Track limits warnings coming for a whole bunch of riders: Holgado, Sasaki, and most recently Sergio Garcia.
So Philip Salac on the green coming out of turn 9 as well, so he might be the next name added to that list, as he's getting a little bit frustrated here behind Alonso Lopez. It looks like Salac has got the superior edge grip at this stage, just so much quicker through the corners. Almost ran into the back of Lopez through turn 9. Can he now get a run on the 21 down this pit straight? This is for 7th place.
Once again, the top 3 keeping themselves just in the 42s. They're on a different level, Vietti, Gonzalez and Ortola. Gonzalez was a couple of tenths quicker on that last lap than Vietti, but once again, Vietti just able to keep that gap hovering over half a second. Some battle this, isn't it? Some quartet fighting for 6. Still advantage Aegis, Lopez 7th, Salac there in 8th place, Alonso in 9th, although 7.2 seconds over the line behind Vietti. This is not what Alonso came for. A lonely but very strong 10th place right now for Luca Lunetta in his best weekend of this rookie Moto2 season, which has had its painful moments after the double leg fracture in Burra.
What might concern him, though, is that he's now in the 44s. He did a 44.0 last time around. He's got a couple of seconds back to Danny Munoz up behind him. Credit the other rookie, Rueda, who of course started alongside Lunetta up in the top 10. He's now got himself back up into 13th place and is on course for his second Moto2 points finish now.
Joe Roberts is pitted as we look at his American racing teammate Philip Salac right in the thick of the battle for the top 6. So Joe Roberts has pitted, so too does Alex Escreed. I just wonder if those two names are connected, maybe. Escreed was getting a long lap penalty for causing contact. Did he pull in immediately with damage to his motorcycle? Joe Roberts with a bit of a head shake. He looks pretty frustrated, or was it just some other issue that has put him out of the Grand Prix? Pretty obvious that Joe looks pretty frustrated. Whatever has caused his retirement, as we pick up once again Aegis out of your picture once again, and for the first time in the 43s, our top trio are in the 43s. Not by much. Vietti, Gonzalez and Ortola. Quickest rider of that top 3 once again is Vietti.
Yeah, we'll find out in 6 laps time whether Vietti has just been managing this to perfection. He's just doing enough. It's not about necessarily winning this by a mile. This is almost the kind of Grand Prix where you want to win it at the slowest possible speed by managing your tyres as best you can. And Vietti kind of riding against his pit board here at the moment, just seeing that 0.5, 0.6 advantage over Manu Gonzalez. As long as he can just keep the World Championship leader at arm's length, that'll do him just fine. And Gonzalez now has a track limits warning, something to occupy the mind of the championship leader.
Bautis is going to be kicking himself for his poor weekend coming into this Grand Prix. He's just on a 43.4, which has got him up to 12th out of Rueda, and 43.4 was the exact same pace as Guevara in 4th place. So he's got pace that's a lot better than 12th at the moment, Bautis, but of course gave himself a mountain to climb, starting way down in 21st on the grid.
Salach just cannot crack the code here of passing Alonso Lopez, can he? We're now through turn 9. This is another of the overtaking possibilities into 10. And once again, look how close Salach gets through the right-hander of 9, almost into the back once again. He just cannot get up the inside of Alonso Lopez. Just too good on the brakes, so the Czech has to stay stuck in 8th place.
Well, Alex Estrige and Joe Roberts are both pitted. I don't know if they were connected in any way. We can find out with Joe.
With Jack, I'll give you an update on Joe, though, if you would like, Matthew in the box. Joe and Alex did not have a coming together, 2 separate incidents. Firstly, for Joe Roberts, it seems as though it's potentially something to do with the rear tyre. You can see, even with the leaders, just how much and how significant the tyre drop is. So it looks as though it's something to do with that. Alex Estrige really feeling the pain from yesterday's coming together in qualifying. His right ankle very badly bruised, and as a result, the pain just getting too much for Alex, and as a result, he pulled in.
Thanks very much, Smoking Joe Appleyard. Appreciate your thoughts there. Yeah, cheers for that update. Of course, Jack Appleyard, not Joe. Here is
Lopez. The front of this now.
There he has, ahead of the 81 bike of Aegis. I mean, as mentioned, this is now going to be just a race of survival. We've got Rueda, Connect, Sasaki further down the field in the 44s. Luca Lunetta has been in the 44s for 4 or 5 long laps now, hasn't he?
The Clint team must have thought their day can't get any worse. I'm afraid it just has got worse, because Xavi Zura-2 is going full in of Bastianini in this Grand Prix at the moment. For a couple of years ago, he got a long lap penalty. For whatever reason, hasn't seen it or hasn't served it. He's now got a double long lap penalty at the back of the field.
Just keeping a close eye on the gap between Vietti and Gonzalez through the intermediates on our timing screens. It is still half a second, creeping up to nearly 6/10 once again. I mean, Gonzalez and Ortola of Huffed and Puffed, well, they just cannot get through the door, can they, and get anywhere close to Celestino Vietti. I mean, Vietti, this has been such an assured ride. Every lap in this Grand Prix has come over the line and seen plus 0.5, plus 0.6 to Manu Gonzalez, who's the World Championship leader and done a lot of winning in Moto2, but he has not flinched for 1 second, has he, Vietti?
Yeah, very, very accomplished ride so far. The gap has come down by 1/10.5 on that last lap. It's down 2.4, and it's been a really poor lap for Ortola. He did a 44.1 on the last lap as Ortola hit that cliff of tyre performance, because he lost the best part of a second to Gonzalez, and if he's not careful, he might reverse back towards Guevara yet.
Aegis looks like he's hit the cliff. He's about to go off it, a 44.2 from the Aussie. He got picked off by Lopez on that last lap, a 44.2 on that last lap by Aegis. I mean, that was 7/10 slower than Lopez, who's gapped the Aussie immediately, hasn't he? And now Aegis has got it all on to fend off Alonso and Salach here.
What a result this could potentially be here, still for Manu Gonzalez, who is just keeping Celestino Vietti honest here at the front of the field. Does he have anything extra up his sleeve and in his tyres for the last stages? Look how this group are now started to ever so slightly catch Holgado up the road. Holgado, that 43.8 last time around, he lost 3/10 to Lopez. Credit Lopez. I thought normally we've seen Lopez begin to drop back down the field when tyres have faded, but it looks like Lopez has done a tremendous job of managing his Pirelli rubber in this Grand Prix, because he's now starting to catch Holgado.
Is it game on Gonzalez? The gap's down to 3.5 tenths now, and now Manu Gas is charging towards Celestino Vietti. Are we set for a grandstand finish then here in Barcelona? Ortola has been dropped. He just has not got any kind of late race pace. Yeah, his podium's going to come under big threat. What a day this could be for Manu Gonzalez in terms of the World Championship, with Ethan Guevara stuck in a very lonely 4th place. Senna Aegis 3rd in the standings. His Dynamo Intact teammate coming into this Grand Prix down in 7th place. Colin Vire's absolutely miserable day has been completed. Vire has crashed out on the front row. Shocking start. Contact on lap 1 with Sasaki. The long lap to serve as well, and Vire's in the gravel.
Guevara won't be in a lonely 4th for long, because he's the rider rampaging up towards the fading Ortola, who did a 44.4 in the last lap. And for another couple of laps, Guevara's going to be right behind him. This is Aegis continuing to plummet down the order, and Alonso, from staying patient, he's going to be rewarded now with 7th place, although he really got tailgated by Philip Salach.
Yeah, the only riders on track at the moment that are quicker than Lopez are Vietti and Gonzalez. 3/10 between those two at the front of this Grand Prix. 4 to go. 4 to go. Are there going to be fireworks still to be delivered? Ortola has got a track chemist warning as well, just to occupy his mind, as he's slipped right out of the victory contention. And he's 2.6 seconds now behind Gonzalez. No way he's clawing that back, is there?
No, it is advantage over Guevara. It's now just 0.8 of a second. There is Vaya, as Ortola loses another 3/10 in the second sector to Guevara behind him, and it's not a usual place to crash that. He's crashed coming out of turn 8. Fortunately, he didn't make it to the fence on his left.
That's a nasty one. That is a real nasty one for Colin Vaya. Happy to see him quickly on his feet. It is game on Gonzalez, no question about it. Into turn 10 we go, and Celestino Vietti, well, he's under immense pressure. He's been under big pressure throughout the whole of this Grand Prix, but now that pressure is coming to the boil. Manu Gonzalez, has he just been nursing those tyres for a late attack? He's put himself in prime position here. Can he get some slips? Oh, Boscoscura lit up on the exit of turn 13. Oh, for Vietti.
Second time in the lap.
Vietti is going speedway. He's going supermoto to try and win this Barcelona battle.
Now.
And now he's in big trouble because Gonzalez is going to get some slips for him. Can Manu Gas gobble him up on the run down to the first corner? The 18 goes side by side with 13, and for the first time then, since the first corner of this Grand Prix, at the first corner on lap 18, Celestino Vietti loses the lead.
We've spoken about the cliff. It looks like Celestino Vietti's now careered off it with 3 laps to go. Has he got anything by way of a counter-attack here? Ortola's about to lose third place too. Guevara just took another 8/10 out of him. Guevara now right behind him. Look at the top of the picture. The battle also for third place is on.
Vietti's bike does not point forwards on corner exit at the moment here in Barcelona. He is just sideways, spinning up the rear tyre. He's not got a lot of grip left, certainly on gas, as Gonzalez just pushing that front a little bit too hard down the hill into turn 5. But at the moment, this is going to be late drama as far as Manu Gonzalez is concerned. We've already talked about what a massive day it could be in terms of his early championship charge, with Guevara hanging on for 4th place. Well, Guevara, of course, has just taken... has he taken 3rd? No, he's right on the rear tyre, isn't he, of Ortola? You can see on the screens on the left-hand side, surely he's going to pick off Ortola. Look at Ortola there. Big head shake coming out of turn 9. He's got no grip. He's got no rear grip left at all. That was as easy as shelling peas for Guevara.
So he's now set for a podium, which will be quite a recovery from 11th on the grid for the 28. But what a victory this could potentially be for Manu Gonzalez. Of course, 2nd place in the last couple of Grand Prix. But a real statement this would be on a weekend that's been largely dominated by Celestino Vietti. Vietti with a rather ill-behaving Boscoscura at the moment. He's not giving up on this race victory, but Gonzalez has 2 more laps to see this through.
Yeah, and 2 more laps for the near 2/10 of a second advantage. Guevara then has found a way through on Ivan Ortola. Ortola is just praying for the checker flag right now, isn't he? He's desperate to see the checker flag. He has completely chewed up that Pirelli rear tyre. Fair play to Vietti, as you know he wouldn't. He's not giving this one up, is he, without an almighty fight. Look at that. I mean, Gonzalez he's also at the mercy of his rear tyre. Look at every time Gonzalez on the power, you can see the rear tyre spinning up. He's twitching underneath him. I mean, it's just a case now of who's got the better grip in the rear now. That's it, simple as.
And who can just summon up something magical in these final 2 laps. They're all praying for the checker flag. This is such an attritional, such a race of survival. Barely any throttle there on board with Vietti as he squeezed the power coming out of turn 4, but he's still got to try and figure out an attack. But look at the distance he loses with the rear lit up once again out of 6.
Yeah, got massive wheel spin on gas coming out of that turn 5. Nothing he could do about it. He was just along for the ride, wasn't he? Watch this. There you go. Yeah, I mean, that's 4 or 5 big moments we've seen from Vietti in the last 2 or 3 laps, as he's just, as mentioned, at the mercy of that Pirelli rear tyre right now. Could that be the decisive moment? He's done, there's Gonzalez. Here's
this ain't over.
Calex snaps sideways on the brakes going into turn 10. We've got, what, about 18 corners left here in Barcelona. Are we set for a titanic finish here? A late showdown between Gonzalez and Vietti, or has Vietti just ran out of rear grip too much?
Trying to see who else is made. Lopez and Alonso both going very quickly, particularly David Alonso, who's now taken that 6th place on this penultimate lap. If he has a good final lap, he might yet still catch his teammate Daniel Holgado. But 1 more lap for Manu Gonzalez, who hasn't done a lot of leading really in this 2026 season. Of course, won a shortened race in Buriram, but this could be a huge 25 points for the World Championship leader.
Manu Manu Gonzalez, a 6-time winner in Moto2. This will feel like his best as he's about to make it a magnificent 7 here in Montmello. Further down the field, Lopez and Salach playing a game of dare on the brakes into the first corner. These two are slugging it out for 7th place at the moment. Lopez and Salach, ages, I mean, I said ages, might be in the 46s very, very soon. He's dropped back down to 9th place, doing high 45s. The gap at the front between Gonzalez and Vietti, stable at 0.3 of a second. Vietti is running out of corners here.
Yeah, Vietti is not giving up on this, but his rear tyre isn't really giving him much help at the moment. Vietti, look, you can see how much movement there is on that number 13. Can he summon something? Of course, winner of this Grand Prix back in 2022. Can he summon something magic in this final half a lap to deny the points leader, Manu Gonzalez?
Another head shake. He's on the gas coming out of turn 8. He has got, what, turn 10. He's running out of options here, is Vietti. Is he going to be close enough to attack Gonzalez? Gonzalez goes super defensive, as you knew he would do. Vietti isn't close enough. He might need some Valentino Rossi, his mental magic in the final corner, if he is to deny Manu Gonzalez. Through the final sector we go, through turn 12. Gonzalez, what, about 2 bike lengths clear?
Oh, this is super, super close, but he's going to have to lunge it into the final corner, and he's not close enough. This is the penultimate corner. Manu Gonzalez, if he's mistake-free, he's got enough.
Oh, he's sideways once again, is Vietti. He just has not got the rear grip. What a victory this is going to be for Manu Gonzalez. He powers out of the final corner, and it's Gonzalez that wins the Moto2 race here in Catalunya. Late drama here as Celestino Vietti led for what, the first 18 laps of that Grand Prix, but he just ran out of steam, and more crucially ran out of grip at the end of that race. He takes the checker flag, Gonzalez, 2/10 clear of the Italian. Ethan Guevara, what a job he's done today. 11th to 3rd place. That's another podium, 4th podium in the first 6 Grand Prix for Guevara. No doubt he's a serious title contender. Ortola fades to 4th. He wasn't the 46s on the last lap. Ortola, he was praying for the checker flag. Top 6s for Holgado and Alonso. Points for Salach, Lopez, Lunetta, Aegis. Great ride by Lunetta in 9th. Munoz, Rueda, Baltas, Canet and Sasaki scored your point scoring places. Rueda got Baltas for 12th on the very last lap. But Manu Gonzalez then, it is a magnificent 7th Moto2 victory here in Montmello. And it's a big, big day in terms of the World Championship. It's now 5 podiums in the first 6 Grand Prix for Gonzalez. His first win since that shortened season opener in Buriram. He's been here before. He started 2025 like an express train and faded late on, but Manu Gonzalez, he is your Catalunya winner in Moto2.
And I'd go as far as to say the best win of Manu Gonzalez's Moto2 career. He really had to work hard for that. He really had to think his way through that against a rider in Celestino Vietti who's been on supreme form all weekend, while Gonzalez has kind of flown under the radar a little bit for much of this weekend. But when it mattered most, it was Manu Gas who won in Barcelona. He almost looks overcome with the emotion of it all. Tom Lutey's with chat.
Tom, what a ride, what a performance from Manu that was. Huge for the World Championship. Just talk us through how clever, how intelligent that ride was.
Wow, it was amazing. I mean, he prepared all over the weekend. He really prepared the race for today. And the analysis he did and we did together yesterday, he was so clear already about the plan, what he's going to do, and he did exact as planned, and phenomenal. Really, really strong.
Huge performance. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think that's the perfect word from Tom Lutey. Manu Gas is rider coach down at Dynamo Intact. Phenomenal. It was a great ride. Great weekend. A great ride by Celestino Vietti. He was fastest in both practice sessions on Friday, on pole position yesterday, and he put up a great fight. A great fight. Just did not have the rear tyre underneath him. A really good day, actually, for the Boscoscura team. The Speed RS team with Luca Lunetta coming over the line in an excellent 9th place. Plenty more to come from the Italian as he works his way back to full fitness. And Ethan Guevara has either stalled it on the cooldown lap or he's out of juice. More than likely, they'll be cutting it fine, but how's Guevara run out of gas?
Everyone was out of tyres, weren't they, at the end of that race? It was a dramatic conclusion as everyone was struggling for grip. We had Holgado in the 45s, as was Guevara on that last lap. Lopez did a 46.6 on that last lap as he plummeted back to 8th place. Nearly got caught by Lunetta actually on that final lap, but it was Manu Gas who had too much. I think he is in tears there under the crash helmet. We saw him there just voicing just immense emotion after winning that Grand Prix. I don't think we can underestimate just how much this means to Manu Gonzalez.
I mean, let's be brutally honest. Manu Gonzalez was a world championship contender for the majority of 2025. He has bounced back brilliantly from all of that disappointment, the late collapse last season, to start 2026 for 2 wins and 5 podiums in the first 6. You have to, your heart goes out to him. It's a travesty, really, that he's not a serious contender for a MotoGP seat in 2027. It looks like he's going to be overlooked once again. I mean, what else can Manu Gonzalez do to convince MotoGP team bosses that he's worthy of a punt in the top class at some point in the future? Always a special feeling to win in front of your home crowd. Manu Gonzalez has done just that, and no wonder he's going to milk it here in Montmello. Celestino Vietti, well, he was sideways, he was a speedway rider, and it was like he was back at the VR46 ranch in Tavullia, wasn't he, on his dirt bike, practicing with the boss, just coming up short. And 2/10 he was back, Celestino Vietti. Well, yeah, congratulations to Manu Gonzalez. He moves on to 104.5 points.
He's from Madrid, is Manu Gonzalez, and 7 days ago Real Madrid were unsuccessful in Barcelona as FC Barcelona won the La Liga title, but there was a Madrid victory in Moto2 today at Montmello. David Alonso with the thumbs up. I think the way his weekend was looking, 6th again is far from a disaster. It kind of follows the pattern of the season for Alonso. He's now gone 5th, 4th, 4th, 5th, 6th in the last 5 Grand Prix, but after some electrical problems on Friday afternoon, another decent recovery from the Colombian.
So a chunk of Ethan Guevara's podium bonus needs to go to Ivan Ortola for the ride back. As those two come, well, they've just completed their slowest ever lap of the Catalunya circuit, haven't they? Ivan Ortola and Ethan Guevara. Yeah, Guevara, a little tap on the helmet there for Ortola. Thanks very much, buddy. Sorry I took those extra 3 points away from you, and more crucially, another podium finish. It would have been back-to-back podiums, of course, for Ortola, who was just, I'm sure, mighty relieved of seeing the checker flag. Good job that by Guevara. If you can't win, make sure you have a strong result, strong finishes. See, look what it means to him. 11th on the grid, fighting his way through to a podium. And there was late drama, there was late battles for some very significant World Championship points there, wasn't there? Gonzalez getting through late on Vietti, Guevara attacking late on Ortola. There's Manu Gonzalez. He's got nothing left to prove, has he, in Moto2? No. Nothing left to prove. You can understand him. He reads the newspapers, he reads the websites, he reads the fact that Guevara, Holgado and Alonso, current Moto2 rivals, look
potentially Vietti as well.
Look likely that they've got MotoGP seats next year, and putting his hand up once again and saying, hey, don't forget me, and what about me? I'm as good as anybody in Moto2 right now.
Yeah, this has hit him hard, this one, Manu Gonzalez. That's the 2nd or 3rd time now we've seen him close to, if not in tears. He's usually so ice cool, isn't he? Whenever we hear from him on the grid, whenever we see him before races, he's a picture of calm. But it looks like a bit of emotion and a nerve has been touched here for Manu Gonzalez to take a victory in these circumstances. As I say, I think this is the best victory of Manu's Moto2 career.
Center Aegis gives us the next race signal. 10th of the checkered flag for the Australian, who hit all kinds of troubles with his Pirelli rubber late on. He was doing mid-146s at the checkered flag. I mean, another lap or two and Senna would have been all on trying to keep himself in the points going places. Another top 10 though, with a decent points all for Aegis, although he does slip down to 3rd in the overall rankings. A great ride that by Guevara. A really, really strong ride. That's now his 4th podium in the opening 6 Grand Prix. Back-to-back podiums as well. He did it the hard way, he did it the real hard way, coming from 11th on the grid. He was sandwiched in between Letta and Aegis. He left those two for dead early on in that Grand Prix. And a late move on Ivan Ortola secures in the podium. Ethan Guevara 3rd then here in Barcelona with Jack.
Ethan, what a performance that is, coming through from 11th on the grid to take 3rd late on. Just how difficult a race was that to manage?
Yeah, I'm so happy. Amazing comeback. I started in P11 and I finished in P3. This is amazing, great work. Yesterday for
reach to my best setting, and I'm so happy with the race because this combat kit is amazing. I managed the tire really good with all the race, and I'm so happy.
Great ride, well done.
Thank you very much.
It was indeed a great ride by Ethan Guevara, who was already second in the championship coming into this Grand Prix, and this was him picking off a rapidly slowing Ivan Ortola, who had a great ride himself for much of that Grand Prix. Toughed it out, didn't he, for most of the Grand Prix early on with Vietti and Gonzalez. But his pace was just too hot for him at the end. Caught the grading on the right-hand side, the front tyre there on Guevara's Pirelli front. That's how hard he was pushing to get that third place. Very, very shortly we'll hear from Celestino Vietti. Not quite a pole and win double in front of his mentor Valentino Rossi. There's no shame in losing to Manu Gonzalez here today, who he has completely overcome. Can't hold back the tears, can't hold back the emotion. Can he, Manu Gonzalez? Top ride. Top riders. We're going to hear from the pole starter Celestino Vietti. No doubt about it, Vietti is one of our championship big guns in 2026, and in the Barcelona sunshine we can hear from the rider from pole position, runner-up here in Catalunya, Chile with Jack.
Well, Celestino, you gave that race absolutely everything. It was obvious in those closing laps that the rear tyre just had nothing left. What are your emotions like at the end of it?
Yeah, no, overall happy, not too much for the end, because I tried to manage the rear, because I know that was maybe the point that I have to work, but at the end, in the last 4 laps, I don't have much more to give. So happy for the result, happy for the work of the team. We need to work a little bit. Fortunately, we had the test, so we can maybe improve something on the riding style on the bike to improve.
Top job, well done.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao a tutti.
16th Moto2 podium then for Celestino Vietti. Not quite the 9th win he so desperately craved, but a great weekend when all said and done. Thanks for that interview, Jack. That was the late drama then. We saw Vietti, I mean, how many times was he out of the seat? He was completely sideways in pretty much every fast corner around this Barcelona. That was scary. That was a big moment there as he flicked it right through turn 9. And yeah, just, I think he had plenty left. It's unfortunate that his Pirelli rear tyre didn't, unfortunately, match. We're going to hear very quickly. We've got a great view of Parc Ferme. That's my commentary position, one of the best commentary positions of the season. I can see Manu Gas just about to come and talk to Jack, a very emotional Spanish rider at the end of a brilliant victory. Absolutely brilliant victory. What a statement performance that was by Manu Gas, top rider in Montmello, and he's with Jack.
Manu, that performance was phenomenal, to chase down Celestino and eventually take him. We can see the emotion. Why does this victory mean so much to you?
I think I've just done the best race of my life. I have all these emotions coming out because I am pushing myself harder and harder every day, never surrounding, never. I will never surround, I will never give up. Everywhere I am pushing every day for myself, and today I think it all came out. The people that is together with me helping, they know what we are suffering. Not I'm talking just about last year, but all my life I was pushing always to a limit, never giving nothing space to anyone. I'm pushing myself, so this is like the top, and I'm like. I just won the championship. I know it's not, but this race is very important for me, and yeah, the team did an amazing job, all the people. I cannot talk anymore. Muchísimas gracias a la afición española que siempre dan ese plus para que los pilotos españoles podamos ganar, así que nada, let's continue, let's keep working, as I always say, piano.
Huge congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jack. Best race of his life is how Manu Gonzalez has described that 21-lapper here in Barcelona. Really hard to argue with that statement from the number 18. You could just see what it means to him. I'm sure he's referencing there, you know, what else can I do? I put my heart and soul into my racing career, dedicate every day of my life to moments like this, with the intention, with the ambition of one day being a MotoGP rider, one day being given the chance to mix it with the very, very best. The chance at the moment, you have to say, doesn't look like it's coming his way in 2027 at least. And there is that massive release of emotion. It means so much as well to Jürgen Ling's German-based team. That was a class performance.
He's made a major point today, has Manu Gonzalez. See the emotion in the eyes. It'll take a couple of weeks until we get to Mugello for his voice to come back, I think, with all the screaming he's done in exultation. Congratulations to this young man. Best Moto2 result so far for Jose Antonio Rueda. Even if the first lap or two didn't really go his way. Who knows, might have been somewhere in the top 10 had he not dropped down to around 20th place on the first lap. That looked like Max Quiles there, congratulating Danny Hulk. Gardo, who's got a pain in the neck there, but overall a solid return to form for Holgado, 5th in the end. He was very grateful the checkered flag came out when he did, because he lost a second to David Alonso, his teammate, on the last lap, and only held on by a 10th of a second. The Aspar teammates 5th and 6th today. We get set for our podium ceremony. 2 Spaniards and an Italian. The top 3 on the podium today are now the top 3 in the World Championship too. Celestino Vietti leapfrogs Senna Regis into 3rd place overall in the World Championship. Onto the podium comes Ethan Guevara. Of course, for Manu Gonzalez, it's 5 podiums out of 6. It's 4 out of 6 for Ethan Guevara. He's very much a championship contender for the long term this year. Celestino Vietti might well be too. He's now moved to within 31.5 points of Gonzalez at the top of the World Championship with 2nd place today. But completely overwhelmed by the enormity of what he achieved today. The best win of his life as he launches the water bottle into pit lane. It's the only thing that's gone wrong for Manu Gonzalez all day today. This has hit him hard, hasn't it? No doubt about it. The Constructor Prize, of course, goes to MotoGP. That's 4 wins out of 6 for that team. 2 apiece now for Gonzalez and Aegis. He finished 10th in the end today. As we mentioned, he was really struggling for pace and grip late on. Another class ride for Ethan Guevara, as he said to Jack in pit lane, reverting back to a setup he knew well. Saw him bring the speed back and bring the good times back. 3rd place for him. And he certainly does look MotoGP banned, even if perhaps cruelly Manu Gonzalez appears not to be. Ignacio Veda, the FIM Deputy President, presents the 2nd place trophy to Celestino Vietti, who did so much of the heavy lifting in that race, but was overhauled in the last 3 laps. Great trophies, aren't they, here at the Catalan Grand Prix. Luca Lunetta there, observing the podium after his fine ride to 9th place today. But as mentioned, this is the 7th win of Manu Gonzalez's Moto2 career, but this one is extra special. Magic from Manu, who proves a major point in Montmello today.
is the man in Montmello, the Moto2 race winner. Gonzalez increasing his World Championship lead, heading to Mugello in 2 weeks' time, where Gonzalez was victorious in the Italian Grand Prix less than a year ago. He's going to enjoy every little drop of that post-race Prosecco as he takes a very, very important 25 points in the early championship chase. Great rides by Vietti and Guevara. Dynamo intact. They're very used to back in 2026. Get some more race-winning Prosecco. What a job Jürgen Ling is doing with Manu Gonzalez and Senna Aegis in 2026. He's going to hold on to that bottom for quite some time. Manu, you win here in Barcelona.
An emotional victory for Manu Gonzalez, overhauling the long-time leader Celestino Vietti. Ethan Guevara from 11th up to 3rd. Ivan Ortola faded fast late on, finished 4th. Holgado very nearly caught by his teammate Alonso, 5th and 6th for them. Salat 7th. Alonso Lopez, another rider to lose pace late on, to 8th. Planeta passing Aegis on the final lap for 9th. Munoz takes points. Rueda's best so far in Moto2. 12th. Baltas from 21st up to 13th, ahead of Aaron Canet, who dropped like a stone in the early stages. Ayumu Sasaki takes the final point. Manu Gonzalez's World Championship lead is up to 18.5 over Ethan Guevara. Now, Celestino Vietti takes 3rd place from Senna Aegis in the World Championship. David Alonso with another top 6. Not a bad result by any means, given the way his weekend panned out, but he's now 46.5 points away from the World Championship leader, Manu Gonzalez. Points today too for Philip Salat, who climbs 3 places. Points for rookies as well, Linetta and Rueda, and Luca Linetta is now your leading rookie in the championship. Constructors' Championship, Calix's lead is 36.5 after they took a victory today. Boscoscuros, of course, for 2nd and 3rd. And in the team standings, Dynavolt, the Comoli Intact GP are 62.5 clear of Aspar, who are now just under 20 points ahead of Blue Crew Pramac. Here are some highlights. Celestino Vietti taking pole position and leading for so long. Gonzalez with a better start, but Vietti would seize the initiative in those very early stages. Colin Vaya reversing back through the order on the opening lap. Along that penalty, and ultimately a crash would end his afternoon. Ethan Guevara making a blistering start from the 4th row of the grid to get himself immediately up into the top 6. And once he'd passed Alonso Lopez, it looked like he was locked in for 4th. Vietti and Gonzalez would ultimately prove to be the sole pair fighting for victory, as Lopez wasn't prepared to let his place in the top 6 go without a fight early on. As Ortola plummeted out of the action with fast fading grip, Vietti started to struggle in his one-on-one duel with Manu Gonzalez. Gonzalez ultimately taking the victory to extend his World Championship lead. A fine performance from Manu Gas as we get set for MotoGP, which is on the way next.
MotoGP is back at majestic Montmello for the Grand Prix of Catalunya, with Chapter 6 of the 2026 World Championship campaign coming from Barcelona, one of the world's trendiest cities and a hub of fashion, cuisine and sport. Alex Marquez it was to triumph in a super close sprint, and he's now eyeing back-to-back Barcelona Grand Prix wins. It's time to race in MotoGP. First on the calendar back in 1992, known then as the Grand Prix of Europe until 1995. It's the magnificent Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. We've got a new top speed record here this weekend, with pole starter Pedro Costa blasting through the speed gun at over 363 kilometres an hour. This circuit, 14 turns, just over 4.6 kilometres in length. What a challenge it poses. Turn 3. Starting that first sector, you really do abuse the rear tyre. heat generation crucial through 13 and 14 as well to complete sector 4. It's turn 1, turn 4 and turn 10 where you really do overwork the Michelin front tyre as well. But that said, 3 and 14 is where you have to be really careful on that throttle. Overtaking hot spots, well, one of the most popular is down the brakes into the first corner. At over 360 kilometers an hour, it was Alex Marquez passing by the mark for the Barcelona win last year. Well, from just his second pole position in the MotoGP World Championship, it was KTM star Pedro Acosta that made the early running in yesterday's 12-lap Tissot sprint. John Zarco was pretty rapid as well from the middle of the second row to get himself up into early podium contentions. Brad Binder and Joan Mir caught up in some turn 1 melee. Jorge Martin crashing out for the 4th time this weekend as he blew a chance to lead the MotoGP World Championship. Fabio Di Antonio late on picking off Ralph Hernandez for a bronze medal. But it got super tight at the checkered flag. This moment, this finish between Alex Marquez and Pedro Acosta, just over 0.04 of a second in our 67th sprint. None have finished closer. What a mouth-watering prospect we have then going into our full-length feature Grand Prix of Catalunya. That'll be lights out in just over 40 minutes time, 24 laps, double the distance. It's going to be a tyre-punishing Grand Prix without any question. After his brilliance in Le Mans last weekend, a double victory for Jorge Martin, the 2024 World Champion, crowned World Champion that year right here in Barcelona. Well, he's trying to recover from 4 crashes so far this weekend. He's 2 points behind series leader Marco Bezzecchi. We're looking to do the business once again in Barcelona, looking to do the business once again in front of his home crowd is Alex Marquez. Talk about home sweet home for Alex. He won the Grand Prix here last September. He's already won on Spanish soil so far this year. An unforgettable second successive victory in Andalusia. Alex Circuito